Good morning, Wanderers. It is March 22nd, 2024. We're going to be hitting a hard topic today. Tomorrow I'm going to my nephew's memorial services. He took his own life and will be dearly missed. So that's our topic for today. I'm back up at the Bass Lake area. They're doing a prescription burn today. Didn't know they were doing that. So, yeah, there's my poor little Jeep up there in the smoke. I just wanted to be in this area because this has always been a very nice, comfortable little area. I've done a few different talks from here. Not wearing my headgear, so forgive me if it's shaky and stuff. Pull up a log and have a seat. The topic of choosing to stop living is a sensitive one, is a difficult one, is one that divides people tremendously. Some people are like, oh, that's what you want to do? Yeah, go for it. Cuts the population. Some people are like, oh my God, never do that. And you're going to not go to heaven if you do that. And all these different things that divide people. But I often wonder if we sometimes just miss what that really means. What does it really truly mean when somebody decides to go against everything natural in their mind, in their physical being, to choose to stop living? And humans aren't the only ones that do it. We do it the most, but we're not the only ones to do it in the animal kingdom. Now, in some cases, understandable. A mother choosing to die so that their child lives, or putting themselves at the risk of death to save a child or someone they love, and things like that. And that happens with males and females across the board. But that's not this topic. What has to change in a living being that makes no longer living the most appealing option? That's the question. It's very difficult to talk about this topic regardless. But I think it's a topic that we really should talk about more. Eliminate some of the mystique, eliminate some of the misconceptions, eliminate some of the I don't know, appeal. by talking about it. It was especially difficult for me because I almost made that choice a long time ago now. But still haunts me. I often relive that moment. I often relive the feeling from both sides. From the side of thank God I didn't do that, or from the side of if only I had. I think it gives me a kind of a different insight into what that all means. You hear a lot of times people say, I choose to live today. I choose to be happy today. I choose, I choose life and happiness today. And for a lot of people that say that, it's just a way of saying, I choose to be active today. I choose to be alive today. I choose, these things. For people like me, that have made the choice to end life today and then either failed or changed their mind at the last minute, it takes on a whole different meaning to say I choose life today. And we can put on that smile, we can put on the jokes, we can put on the costume and go out and appear perfectly normal. Appear like we did not choose life today. Appear like we just are like everybody else. I don't want to be treated any different by those who know me, because it's not what this is about. It's about awareness. This is about, you don't know the inner workings of the people around you. Humans are terribly good actors and actresses. We have an entire industry built on that fact. Actually, we have multiple industries built on that fact, but we have governments built on that fact as well. But what we're here to discuss is that it's okay to talk about this topic. That it's okay to talk about those struggles that we might face that bring about the option and put it into our vocabulary and put it into our list of choices to stop living. For me, it was the collapse of a world that I thought would last forever. Was it a good world? Oh, there was definitely good there. Did I screw it up? Oh, yeah, I definitely screwed it up. But I screwed it up from the very beginning. It was built on falsehoods, it was built on fiction, it was built on alternate realities. Like I said, we're good actors and good actresses. Was I trying to do good by things for, yeah, I still firmly believe that, and I still believe that it did a lot of good. But it didn't shift when it needed to. I tried to keep it the same and shattered it. It just crumbled. And I own that. I own that. But it didn't change the fact that at one point I was on a road that was very long and very straight for an extremely long ways, a little over 4 miles. And that road came to an end and teed. So one road went to the right, one road went to the left. And in front of the T, or on top of that T, or however you want to look at it, was a rock wall. A solid mountain, if you will. Or if you're from the mountains, then it was more of a hill. But at any rate, a solid rock wall that did not have a gradual slope. It was a little cliff face that faced the end of this 4-mile straight stretch. And I was in a 2001 Cadillac. Very powerful vehicle. Doing about 135 miles an hour headed to that rock wall. Because if I was going to stop living, number one, I was going to make sure that it did. And number two, I was going to do it in grand fashion where there was no mistake, and yet that question of, was it a mechanical failure? At the time, I really didn't think that I had any purpose left. I felt unneeded. I felt unwanted. I felt as though I had deceived myself just as much as I had deceived everyone around me. Another reason that you get the raw truth from me now. Gone to the other extreme. But at any rate, I was within about 3/4 of a mile of that ultimate collision. And this was at a time of day where there was nobody else on this stretch, so it was not an issue of that. But beside me in the passenger seat of my car, this is really hard. It's been so many years I didn't think it would be quite this hard, but it still is. Was the littlest dog with the biggest heart that I have ever known in any pet I have ever owned. And I've owned a lot of them. This little 4-pound dog was absolute gift from God into my life. I have no doubt about that. Say whatever you want about it, but that's the way it is. Because this little dog was with me, and I looked over at him, and he looked up at me. He'd been sitting there, and he just had a look in his eye that literally came across my mind as, okay, this is what we're doing. And he laid down in the seat and tucked his head in, ready to go with me. It took all of about 5 seconds for that to transpire, and I was now within about a quarter of a mile. Like I said, I was doing about 130 miles an hour. I could see the stop sign. And it just hit me that I can't do this to this little dog. So I slammed on my brakes. I stopped in time, and I thought, okay, I can go take the little dog back to the other house and let them take care of him and come back. But when we stopped, he got up from the floor, mind you, because he had slid off onto the floor because I hit the brakes that hard. And he climbed into my lap and just laid his head against me. And I sat there petting him for, I don't even know how long, really. It was minutes. And then I took him to the beach. And we parked on the beach for a while, and I talked to him, and I just kind of let loose. That little dog knew more about me than anybody in my life has ever known about me. He heard it all that day. I had to put him down a couple years ago, a few years ago. One of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. But he was very old, and it was his time. And he looked at me almost the exact same way that he looked at me in that car the day that I let him go. These are moments that live on in me every day of my life. When I choose life, I picture hitting the brakes. I picture talking to that silly little dog, who loved to sing, by the way. He didn't bark much, but he sure loved to sing. At any rate, that's my qualifications for talking about this topic. And I think it's one we need to talk about more. Because there are millions of people in this world that are choosing one or the other every day of their life. And there are several that makes a choice to stop living and stop living. My nephew was one of them. Oh, I'm going to miss that kid. He had just turned 30. We can always say so many things about, after the fact, it's easy to look back and say, yeah, they were never the same after this. They were never the same after that. But I think really what we kind of miss is that they weren't any different either. Another area where this decision divides and splits people is, it's the chicken's way out. Too chicken to face life, too chicken to fix problems, too cowardly to do what you had to do. We can point fingers at this, we can say these things all we want, but that decision is not typically made lightly. It's not typically made through cowardice. It's not necessarily strength either. It's just a choice. And that is where I think the disconnect really comes with a lot of people. People that are able to make that choice, to make that decision to stop living, and that are not pursuing ulterior motives and alternate treatment and things like that. People that don't really talk about it much, people that don't really spread it around. It can be hard to distinguish, but if you look for somebody who is able to make quick decisions, stand behind them, regardless of outcome, and defend them, regardless of outcome, these are the people that can make that kind of decision, follow through, and be done with it. Again, I say it's not a decision that is made lightly. It's not a decision that is like, you know what? Somebody made me mad today. Somebody hurt my feelings today. I'm just going to go do this. That's not the case. It's never a light decision. There's always thought. There's always a weighing of, is this really what I'm going to do? And sometimes people need input on the decisions they make. And so they might say once or twice, you know what? I think I'm just going to stop living. And the people around them might respond in different ways. Might respond positively or negatively, depending on what the individual stating that is perceiving. But again, it becomes that perception. It becomes what that person perceives. So, if that person is really not wanting to make that choice, and they're seeking validation to not make that choice, a positive response would be, no, you've got way too much to keep living for. What about this? What about that? What about this? And that's what they were hoping for. They were hoping for that list of pros for the choosing life argument. Now, on the other hand, you have people that might be looking for the support of the opposite. And to them, a positive response would be, yeah, go ahead. You're too weak to do it. You're too cowardly to do it. You're too, whatever. You say this all the time. It's BS. Prove it. Prove it. They're looking for that as a positive affirmation that they should do it. You'll never know which one the person is looking for. Well, you can say that you do. You can say that you'll recognize it. You'll see it. You won't. You truly won't. Once again, people are amazing actors and actresses. We are capable of such trickery that we even fool ourselves. We are capable of such lies and deceit that we can trick ourselves to believing this or that about ourselves, about other people, about things, about everything. Just look around you in the world today and how much deceit and deception is held up as truth and as a new way to view the world. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all myth and ethereal nonsense. So, what can we gain by talking about this topic? Well, we can gain the fact that it becomes okay to talk about this topic. Where we might be able to sit down with somebody who has been in that position or who we'd recognize as somebody that chooses life every day and truly chooses life every day because they know that they can make the decision the other way. They know they're capable. They know they are very capable. But if we know that those people are there, then the other people that are looking for that validation one way or the other, maybe they can go talk to that person and say, hey, I need to talk to you. And that person can say, hey, let's talk. Because having the perspective of somebody who can choose to stop living, and almost did once, can give you a more unbiased response to your dilemma and your choice of choosing life or choosing to stop life. And the only way that those people are going to know that those other people are there is if those of us that have been there talk about it. And those of us who haven't been there, let us talk about it and let us be a part of life without changing how we treat them, without changing that, but maybe just a small recognition of There are people like this that choose to live, literally choose to live, instead of choosing to die. There's no cowardice in it. There's no bravery in it. It's just a choice. I chose to wear these shoes instead of wearing shoes with socks. It's just a choice. I chose to put on a shirt today that's a t-shirt instead of a shirt with long sleeves. I chose to come here to do this talk today instead of somewhere else. It's just a choice. Those are the people that need to talk about this, is the people that can view this as exactly what it is. It's just a choice. And it's one we contemplate, it's one we think about, it's one we make. It needs to be okay to talk about this. We're a half hour in already. I knew this was going to be a long one. Maybe I should make a part 2. I'm going to put this one up today. And if I do a part 2, I'm going to put it up as well. Those of you who know me, I again ask you, I'm no different. I'm the same person that you've been interacting with and talking to for the past 5 years at work. If you've known me longer than that, I'm still the same person that was there before then too. Nothing's different. You just now have a little bit more understanding of the inner workings of who I am. And that's okay. It's an intimate thing. It's a thing that isn't typically shared, but it should be. We should know these things. We should be able to share these things and say, hey, I didn't know that about you. I'm glad I do. If I know anybody that is struggling, can I send them to you? Hey, you bet. Please give them my number. Because I choose life today. And I am going to choose life tomorrow. And I'm going to choose it the day after that. Not because it's easier to choose it. Not because it's the love of a challenge. Not because I get one more day with my daughter. Not because of anything other than the simple choice of I'm going to choose to be alive. I'm going to choose to continue living. And for me, that literally means exactly that. So I'm not any different than I have been ever since the day that I literally made that choice to hit the brakes. That day changed my life. That day, that moment changed my entire life. Because my life continued. Up until that moment, my life was over. I had chosen to stop living. So I hope you can see the difference. I hope you can understand the perspective I have on this topic. If you are one of these people that makes this choice like I do, let people know. because there are other people out there that are going to be making this choice at some point in time that really should know who they can go talk to about it to get an unbiased perspective, to get an unbiased person to communicate with them about what this choice is, what this option is, what it means to choose life when you had already chosen to stop living. What changed your mind? I appreciate you, Wanderers. Like I said, I might do a part 2 to this. I don't know. It might be later today. It might not. The smoke's actually starting to get to me a little bit. It's pretty thick now. I appreciate all of you. My family, any of you that actually watch these, I appreciate you. I love you all. Comments are always welcome. I always say that. But at any rate, they are welcome. This topic especially. If you see this and you know somebody who might need this message, please share it. Please give it to them. Please let them watch it. Please help them watch it. Whatever. Connect them. Give them the opportunity to talk to somebody who's been there and is willing to talk. All right. Thank you, Wanderers. May your days be blessed. May your adventures continue. Love y'all.